Is there alien life out there? This is a topic that comes up a lot, and it's a very timeless topic too. It's something that's been talked about for decades, and it's never quite in the mainstream news, but it's always kind of just, on the back burner. And what makes it so interesting is that it really just comes down to what you want to believe and what your theories are. So, as I'm sure a lot of you might have heard, recently there was this footage of an unidentified flying object somewhere flying over Earth. And, you hear about this stuff every once in a while, and most people, they don't really pay much attention to this kind of thing because, it's like, well, okay, it's just another flying object. It doesn't actually mean that, there's aliens landing here. And so I kind of just wanted to address my thoughts on all of the theories that are flying around out there. And to do that, I'm going to be opening up Space Engine. So for those of you who haven't heard of Space Engine, it's basically just Google Maps, but for space. So you can just explore anywhere in the galaxy. You can see everything that's recorded. And then most of the rest, I think, is just automatically generated. All right, so here we have Earth, and it's all to scale. There's the moon right there. And so one of the main things that makes me believe that we haven't actually had aliens just crash land or stumble upon Earth, or, all of the stories out there like, oh, I saw an alien fly past my house one day, and maybe they're keeping it hidden in Area 51 or something like that. And while, yeah, that sounds really awesome, and I would be happy to find proof of that, I have a few reasons why I find that really difficult to believe. So here we've got our sun, just our solar system, just one little star out in the galaxy. And even if you're traveling at light years per second, you don't really see things go past very much. And then you look in all directions, and you see there's a lot of stars out there in the galaxy. So in the Milky Way, let me see, I always forget. There are 270 billion, roughly. That's how many stars are in the Milky Way. And so even if they're able to travel at thousands of light years per second, look at all of these stars. This is like, finding a needle in a haystack sounds like a piece of cake compared to finding, just stumbling upon a planet that has life like this. Now that's assuming that we're going by the generalization that it's the equivalent of us hopping on a boat and sailing through the ocean looking for land. Maybe they aren't just aliens that are from another civilization on another planet and they hopped in a spaceship and just traveled out into space looking for other life, or, whatever their motivations are. If it is the same sort of physical travel that we're used to, then I just don't really see it being likely that with all of these billions of stars, and each star having a potential of a few planets too, that any of them are going to just suddenly land on our planet. Especially if it's just like by accident. Another point to be made with that same theory is also just the whole scale of things. Now, Earth is a fairly small planet compared to other planets and stars that are out there. Alright, so let's just zoom into some random star and see what they've got. Alright, so this star has 10 planets. Just some random star out there. And let's just zoom into this random planet here. Alright, so here we've got a planet that is 3.5 times the diameter of Earth. Now, who's to say that even if aliens do live on here, that they're going to be the same size as us? So, as humans, we have a sense of scale that is similar to us. But what if they're aliens that are microscopic that live on a planet like this? Or maybe they're 1,000 times bigger than us. Maybe there's a planet full of Godzillas. Maybe there's aliens that are made completely out of gas. Maybe they're not even solid beings at all. When we know so little about the universe, you never know what's possible out there. So another thing that I think is just kind of funny is there's always the stereotypical look of an alien. The hairless, very smooth skin, gray bodies with big heads and big black eyes. What's funny about that is that we always picture aliens to look like us. You know, having 2 arms, 2 legs, a mouth, nose, eyes. And I mean, those kind of characteristics could be completely unique to Earth. You know, anytime we hear about aliens, it's, you know, little green men that come out of this circular flying saucer. I mean, that's what you see in all the movies and the TV shows. I mean, that's just humans' depiction of what an alien might look like. So unless that image is based on actual evidence of something we have seen in the past, something tells me that even if we do eventually run into something, that they are probably not going to look like we expect them to. So another theory on space that I've heard quite a bit is, I think it's from Neil deGrasse Tyson, maybe it was Carl Sagan or something, where they said, if aliens were able to travel to Earth, they probably wouldn't look at us any differently than we look at ants, you know? So, like, they would just completely disregard us and they wouldn't think anything of us. They might even just step on us and not even care. And my counter to that, yeah, because I know Neil deGrasse Tyson's probably watching this video, is that if there is actually a civilization of aliens that are out traveling through space, they would most likely be very naturally curious entities. And like I mentioned, we look at ants on the ground, we don't think anything of them. We'll step on them and we won't even think about it. But if we found ants on Mars, people would be going nuts. So I feel like if there are aliens who stumbled upon Earth and saw that there was life here, like actual intelligent life here, building civilizations and everything, I think it would be a little bit more notable, especially seeing as just how blank and empty space really is. I mean, by that same theory, if us in the 21st century were to stumble upon some ancient civilization that's somewhere in the jungle, I know they exist, but let's say we just stumbled upon them, I think most humans wouldn't just say, they're nothing important, they're nothing special, let's just squish them and get on with it. I mean, when we find stuff like that, we're naturally just, like, amazed, and we preserve it, we study it, we do whatever we can to not really infringe over it. You know, maybe aliens don't actually travel through space like we would expect them to. Maybe they do some sort of space bending and they can just travel from one place to another instantly. Maybe they have the entire galaxy already mapped out and they've already looked at us. But the thought of some spaceship just flying through the galaxy and then happening to stumble upon our little star and our little planet right next to our star, I mean, it just seems a little too insane to think of that as a coincidence. You know, I think that what makes space and astronomy so interesting is just how little we know about all of it. I mean, to us, we just look out at the stars, we see that things are so far away that we'll never actually be able to travel to any of them, and we still have so much left to learn about it. But for anybody who is interested in traveling and exploring things kind of like this, you'll want to keep in touch with my Imagine If the Internet Was Real channel, because pretty soon I'm going to be starting up a new series where we basically just explore the world. I'll just leave it at that. This was a pretty weird video. I mean, it was really all over the place. It probably didn't make a whole lot of sense the whole time, but yeah, let's just call it there. So keep an eye out for Imagine If the Internet Was Real soon.